What's up, guys? It's Enigma Hood. A lot of people were asking me about the Zimmerman verdict. And, you know, I didn't want to make a video about this because I was so sickened by the verdict that I couldn't listen to it anymore. Normally my homepage is on CNN.com. I changed it. Because I just couldn't deal with it. I watched the verdict on TV and I just sat there stunned. Much like all of you out there, you know, like, we were all stunned to hear that. And I was so angry and disappointed and depressed that I had to shut myself away from hearing anything more about that case. A lot of other people expressed rage and anger, which they should, which they did, because we need to let the government know that this will not stand, that we are not happy with this. And they're putting pressure on the government. And this is what I said as soon as I heard the verdict. I said, this man needs to be brought up on federal charges for violating Trayvon Martin's civil rights. It's as simple as that. Luckily, for those who don't know or those who aren't familiar with American laws, there is a double jeopardy clause that states that you can't be tried for the same charge twice. However, there are exceptions, and this is one of them. This is a separate charge from murder or manslaughter. This is trying Zimmerman for violating Trayvon Martin's civil rights. Trayvon Martin had the right to live. He had the right to exist. He had the right to go on and to live and to grow into a man and then die from old age. That was taken away from him by this scumbag, by this fucking vigilante, this self-righteous piece of shit who was snooping around Trayvon Martin's neighborhood. He lived in that neighborhood. This was where he lived. This is his home. He was minding his own business. He went to get some Skittles or some iced tea, and then he was heading back home to his father so he can watch a game on TV. And then he was shot and killed for no good reason. That's the thing. For no good reason. He's dead. This is the United States of America. We have the right to live, to exist. That's a civil right. And when you take away that right, you need to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. You need to suffer for what you did. And Zimmerman, he's laughing right now. He's laughing. Did you see his reaction after the verdict was handed out? He first just sat there like a big fat load. But then he started laughing. He was smiling and shaking people's hands like, I just killed someone, I got away with it. Isn't it so hilarious? That piece of shit. Words cannot explain the rage that we feel towards this scumbag. And, you know, I've been hearing rumors, you know, that they're exploring their options to see what they can do, but, you know, Obama said, like, they can't do anything about it or whatever, like, it's very difficult to do this. What's difficult about it? What's difficult about it? He violated his civil rights. What's difficult about that? You try him and then you punish him in a federal court. And this time you have a jury that's not filled with a bunch of biased bigots. For fuck's sake, I saw that interview with that juror 37B or whatever the fuck they were called. Fucking coward had to hide their fucking face, her face. She didn't want to show it, but she sounded like a fucking hag from the 1950s. I mean, she didn't look that old, but we didn't see her face, right? Like, from the silhouette, I was assuming she wasn't that old, but then when she started talking, she's like, I mean, like, she just sounded like fucking, like, from the 1950s. And everything she, like, people are hesitant to call her a blatant racist. My friend, actually not just one friend, like several of my friends have described her as submissively racist. And these people are white, by the way, and I only point that out just to point out the fact that they have no axis to grind here, okay? Okay, and even they are saying that she's at least submissively racist. I would go on to say that she's definitely prejudiced. In her mind, she has prejudice against blacks and other minorities, probably. In her mind. Because everything she was saying in that interview, you know, like, oh, these people, this is the way that they do things. That colored boy. What the fuck? That colored boy? She described Trayvon Martin as that colored boy, and she described George Zimmerman as George. Like he's her buddy. Oh, George didn't really know what he was doing. He exercised improper judgment. Improper judgment? He killed a boy! He's dead! She wasn't able to empathize at all. She just saw him as an animal. As a thing that she was not able to see him as her own son. She could not empathize at all. Because he was an animal. That colored boy. What the fuck? What century are you from? No one describes a black teenager as a colored boy anymore. That's how people used to describe people like that in the 1950s and before. That's like a racist pejorative by today's standards. That reveals a lot about her. That she's living in her own fucking fantasy world. That's insular. And separated off from the rest of the country. That has moved on. And they selected her as a juror? This just demonstrates that the system is fucked up. When you have a jury that consists of these kinds of people, and if you have like 3 of these people that are like her and the rest are just kind of apathetic on the fence, you know, wallflowers, they'll go along with whatever the hell they say. No, you needed more racial diversity in there. People who can actually empathize with Trayvon Martin and the black community. For one thing, I don't know why the jury was so small. I mean, is that how it's done in Florida? Why is it only 6 people? There should be at least 12. 6 people, that's it? What the fuck? And there was no racial diversity. Where are the Asians? In any kind of racially charged case, between blacks and whites, you have to have a neutral party in there. You have to have Asians. You might think, oh, well, no, you need to have Asians because they're as neutral and as impartial as they can be in a racially charged case between blacks and whites. Both South Asians, like Indian people like me, and East Asians, like Chinese people. Okay, because they will be able to bring a neutral, impartial view on the matter. And yes, you also need to have blacks and whites. No, instead they had a bunch of white people and one ambiguous person that we don't really know, but it's probably Hispanic. Yeah, real impartial there. This just demonstrates how fucked up the system is. When you have a clearly racially charged case, and they pretend like nothing's going on. You fucking idiots. And then even the juror admitted that they never discussed the racial element to this case. What? What the fuck? Of course there was racial elements. You had to discuss that. You didn't do your duty as a juror when you didn't discuss it, when you decided to ignore it. And everything she said went along with what the defense presented. You know, at least the jurors from the O.J. Simpson case, some of them came out and said, yeah, we believe that he did it, but there wasn't enough evidence to incarcerate him. There wasn't enough evidence to find him guilty. Because at least they understood what the burden of proof was, what that meant. It doesn't mean finding the defendant innocent. This bitch didn't find him not guilty. She clearly found him innocent in her mind. Everything that she said, just watch the video, okay? And you'll see that I'm right. That everything she said, she's just going along with everything that defense presented. You know, the Pac-Man show, I forgot the full guy's name, but he made a good point that the defense actually played like a completely fictitious presentation, an animation of what they think happened, which of course was completely biased and not based on facts, and she thought it was credible. What a fucking moron! Guys, I'm so pissed off. I mean, you can see why I didn't want to make a video about this, because it just enraged me so much. Anyway, this guy really needs to be brought up on federal charges, and that juror bitch needs to go away and never come back. She was trying to write a fucking book. You know, thank goodness the public had an outcry about that and squashed those dreams of hers. Fuck you, you fucking cunt. Guys, do what you can. You know, voice your opinions. Don't let this man get away with murder. The federal government must press charges against him. And that's all I gotta say. This is Enigma Hood signing off.